Hi everybody, Scott Kelby here, and I've got a field report for you on the brand new Canon 24-240 lens for mirrorless full frame cameras.
Yeah, and you just came back from China, been using that for what, like 10 days now, right?
10 days in China. I shot thousands of photos, and I don't want to do a standard review because I'm not
so this is
a
like
review
more
guy.
a field report. So this is you actually went out, used the lens for the first time. This is when you're getting it back, you're looking at the photos, and you're like, hey, how's this? How did this lens work?
All right. So first thing, I can tell you, having the range of 24-240 is fantastic. By day 2, I stopped using any other lens. So I had my 16-35 with me and the adapter. So it was a standard regular Canon lens, but I used an adapter with it. But after about day 2, seriously, I think I just used this for the whole rest of the trip. I'm not even sure I even put the 16-35 on anymore.
So you just had no need for an ultra wide?
24 is not as wide. I'm doing landscape. So travel and landscape, I didn't have an opportunity to use the 16 as much as I thought I would.
Did you ever have an opportunity or ever a chance where you just basically did like panos instead to get a little bit more?
I definitely did panos, and that was great about this because I wouldn't really do my panos at 24. I like to do my panos at like 70 millimeter. So, but here's what I do hate. I hate changing lenses.
Right.
So, because what I always find, if you have 2 lenses, you always have the wrong one on.
Exactly.
But being able to go from 24, which is wider, because most lenses in this range have been 28-3. This adding that extra 4 doesn't sound like it'd be a big a deal, but I'm telling you what, I was very happy with it. So I love the fact that number 1, I didn't have to change lenses. Number 2, very sharp. In the center of the lens, super sharp, like surprisingly sharp in the center. And the edges, not as sharp, but that's pretty, it's a $900 lens. So is this as sharp
as the edges? You're talking on the wide side, right?
Yeah, if you're out at wide,
especially on the wide
especially on the wide, towards the edges, it's not as sharp.
So as you zoom in, you're zooming into that sharper part.
Right, so it's not as noticeable, certainly. But here's the thing. It's not as sharp as my sharpest other camera. It's not as sharp as my 7200, right? So it's not legendary sharpness, but it was surprisingly sharp for this kind of lens. It's 900 bucks. That's pretty cheap. So I really found, but there's some things that you need to know about this lens that are very critical to whether you should buy it or not. The 24-240, awesome. The sharpness, I would have to say, surprisingly good.
Yeah, and I know, so when you're talking about it, you said all that stuff, but then you said, okay, but you've got to use Lightroom or you've got to use Photoshop if you use this lens. And what do you mean by that?
I'm going to tell you straight up, and I was talking to Eric about this before the review, is that I could not recommend this lens to someone that does not own either Photoshop, Lightroom, or something that does lens correction. You absolutely, positively have to apply lens correction in post. Absolutely. I would say that if you say, well, I don't use Lightroom or I don't use Photoshop, I would say don't use this lens. Don't buy this lens because you need it. You need it worse than any lens I've ever seen. That being said,
which scared me when they said that. I was like, oh my gosh, this lens.
But with 2 clicks, they're gone. All the problems are gone in 2 clicks. It's 1, 2, gone. So first off, let's talk about chromatic aberration. Chromatic aberrations are when you look through the lens and you see like a purple outline or a green outline or both around the edges of things. The chromatic aberration with this lens is so strong that I could see it while I'm taking the picture. Like I'm looking through there, I haven't even taken it yet, and I can see it in my viewfinder. Now, this is my first mirrorless camera. So maybe that is a feature of mirrorless cameras that you can see. I've never seen that before, and it kind of freaked me out. Luckily, you click
that freaks me out.
It did freak me out, but again, that's what I'm saying. If you've got Lightroom or Camera Raw and you're willing to make 2 clicks, you're going to make 100 clicks fixing your images, but 2 clicks of them. And by the way, you should set up Lightroom to where when your images are imported, it automatically applies the camera profile, the lens profile for this lens, and turns on chromatic aberration. If you do that, you won't even notice it. It will be a seamless part of your workflow.
You can just set that up when you're importing on.
When you're importing, set it up,
and you just automatically apply it. Yeah,
absolutely.
So if you're using this lens, you're automatically applying all those settings.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the chromatic aberrations are real. The edge vignetting I'm laughing because
You're making it sound so good.
no, it is. It's a great. I love this lens, and like I said, I stopped using my other lens, and I'm on my next trip, wherever it is. I'm for my worldwide photo walk.
Yep,
I'm taking this lens, no doubt about it, because I'm going to set up an import preset that applies this. The edge vignetting is, I'm not kidding, it is the worst I've ever seen in my life because the edges are black. They're not darkening it. Take a look on screen. This is a shot from China. I was in there, right? And it needs a lot of work, but look at the edges. It looks like I put on the lens hood wrong, but
or
it's
you
not.
Put like a filter.
That's
on
it.
There, yeah.
But watch, you can get rid of it so easily. You can go here to the lens corrections panel. Watch when I turn on enable profile. Watch, you turn it on.
Done.
It's completely gone. It's completely gone, and it fixes the barrel distortion.
Yeah.
Did I mention it has barrel distortion? It gets rid of the barrel distortion. It gets rid of the darkening in the edges, all by one click. So the second click is right above it. Remove chromatic aberration. And those lens problems all go away, and all you are left with is an incredibly versatile, sharp lens that I love very much. But I wanted to tell, the field report is your real experience with it. My real experience was, wow, I can see chromatic aberration before I shoot the shot. Oh my gosh, when I bring it into Lightroom, I've got black corners and I got a barrel distortion. So
at first, did you feel like, uh-oh? And then once you hit those couple buttons, you felt like, okay.
Well,
good.
the vignetting was the one that freaked me out.
Yeah.
Now, when I was shooting and I saw the
that's only
chromatic,
at the 20, that's at the 24.
That's at 24, right? You're only going to see that all the way at 24. But I was a little ticked about this lens before I got it.
Okay.
Because it does not come with a lens hood. You have to buy the lens hood separately. So I bought the lens, and then a couple of days later I realized it doesn't come with a lens hood. I went back to B&H and ordered my lens hood. It still hasn't come in. I've already gone to China, come back, and it's still back ordered. But it's a $900 lens. It should come with a plastic lens hood.
And it doesn't come with a lens hood.
It does not come with a lens hood, which is, I've never bought a lens that didn't come with a lens hood.
I mean, that's pretty bad.
It's bad.
That's pretty
Canon,
bad. I gotta be honest
come on.
with you
I mean,
there.
all I can say about that is, come on, throw in a lens hood. So all that terrible stuff being said, which is the lens has the worst vignetting I've ever seen, terrible chromatic aberration, barrel distortion, and it doesn't come with a lens hood, it's one of my favorite lenses ever. Because it's lightweight and it's sharp and the range is so great. So it really is good. And I'm going to be in Lightroom no matter what. No matter what happens, I'm going to go to Lightroom. That's my first stop, so what the heck?
That's really the honest, like summing it up is like, as long as you're removing that stuff, because it's evening out. And let's be honest, we pretty much turn on, I always turn it on
no matter what lens.
It doesn't matter what
using.
lens, right? So you're always turning it on. So it's just, you're turning it on, it corrects it, you move on.
Yeah, so it's not really an issue, and it's part of my regular workflow anyway. In fact, if you have ever seen my class called Scott Kelby's 7-point system for Lightroom, the sixth point is turn on lens corrections.
Right.
So I would do it anyway, so it's not like I'm going out of my way, but I do want to give you one more tip. Even when turning on remove chromatic aberration, in some cases, there's still a little bit of chromatic aberration. So while I got you on this field report, I'll show you what to do. So let's go look at the chromatic. Let me find some. Oh, look, there's some right there. So there.
Yeah, and you already have it, or you don't have it checked.
No, I don't have it turned on. And you'll see, watch, I'm going to turn on the remove chromatic aberration, and 95% of it's gone just by turning that on.
Right.
If it's not all gone, I just do want to, now it's a Lightroom tutorial, but I want to show you what to do. Click on the manual tab here in Lightroom and just increase the amount of purple until right there until it goes away. A little bit on the green amount, boom, gone. So that it's an easy fix. It's not an issue. It's kind of a no-brainer. But it's really important that I just want to drive that point home because I don't want somebody to get this lens and said, Scott said it was so great and it's super sharp and it's lightweight and it's $900. So all of that is true. Use Lightroom or Camera Raw to do, and Camera Raw has the exact same built-in,
So if you're one of those straight out of the camera shooters, this is not the lens for you.
Not the lens for you. If you're one of those people that goes into forums and brags about how you don't know Lightroom or Photoshop,
good luck.
Good luck to you. Anyway, other than that, I love the sharpness. Also, there's a little switch on the side that lets you use this for manual focus override, or you can assign this little ring here, this little ring right here, you can assign that I use it for exposure compensation. So when I'm shooting, if I want it to be lighter or darker, I can do that. And I use the exposure emulation in here, so I can actually see my scene get darker or lighter as I move this. But you can assign it to a number of different other things. That's one of the features of this EOS R.
That's an R series.
That's an EOS R thing. So this actual lens was made for the Canon mirrorless, right? It's made for the mirrorless line.
And that's your first one, right?
This is my first real 100% mirrorless. Yes. So
you've shot with others, though. But,
I have shot with others. Canon sent me some loaners that I when it first came out to use. But this is the first one that is my lens. I bought it. I use it, and I really, really do like it.
You got it without a lens head.
And I got it. I'm still waiting on my lens head. I'll be taking it with me on my worldwide photo walk. But guys, I wanted to give you a field report. Like I said, I don't do the nerdy stuff. I don't go through all the specs and all that kind of stuff. That's just not me. But I do think it's important to just say, I used it and this is what my experience was. My experience was, I'm going into Lightroom.
Well, and it also sounds like what also your experience was is you found, like, given those things that we might see as like handicaps, they worked themselves out when you corrected them.
Automatically as part of my workflow.
And really, at the end of the day, it's the lens gave you the versatility that you needed.
Oh yeah.
You know, to be creative.
That 224 to 240, I fell in love with it.
So I think that's really what it is, because I back when I was shooting Nikon, I had the 28 to 300. That was a great lens.
I used to love that lens, yeah.
But it did not go down to that. It was 28 was just never wide enough.
28 is never wide. I know. I was surprised what a difference that extra 4 millimeters.
And that low end is a lot.
My next lens is going to be, and it's coming out really maybe next week, is going to be the 15 to 35, and that is mirrorless native, so I won't have to use the adapter. So that'll be it. Those will be my travel and landscape 2 lenses. That's going to be all I need. So anyway, wanted to give you an overview.
Awesome.
Hey, since I mentioned Lightroom, I actually write the blog, lightroomkillertips.com. So if you want to go by there, I have all kinds of tips and interesting stuff about photography, but mostly about Lightroom because, well, it's Lightroom Killer Tips. So anyway, go check it out if you get a chance. Thank you, Eric. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And thanks, Canon, for making a lens where I only have to really carry around one lens. And if I'm really feeling greedy, I'll take the 15 to 35.
Yeah, awesome.
Take care, everybody.
See ya.